So hello, it's wonderful to meet you here in this space today. I want to start by giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself in your company.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Lynette. I'm such a huge fan of your podcast. So when you reached out, I was very excited that you were interested in chatting with me, as
Thank
I'm
you.
interested in chatting with you as well. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Great, great. So what is your business?
So I'm the owner of Reflektion Design. That's Reflection with a K, not a
Okay.
C.
Uh-huh.
Reflektion Design. And I'm an Atlanta-based entrepreneur. Um, Reflektion Design basically is it's a lot of things. It is your source for authentic, handmade African home decor and
Oh,
accessories.
uh-huh.
I work with artisans in East and West Africa, so we're talking Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana,
Ah,
to make a wide variety of decorative art for your home. Everything from wall hangings, mud cloth, baskets, wood tableware, wood spoons, salad servers, all the way to beautiful accessories like the folding hand fans that everybody loves, especially in the summertime.
oh, yes.
um, and just pretty much things to make your home feel more like yourself, to reflect who you are and extend that connection to African culture through the space that you create at home.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how long have you been in business?
Since late 2014. So crazy enough, almost 10 years. Doesn't feel like it,
Wow.
but almost 10 years.
Wonderful, beautiful. We love to hear about those journeys. So, what inspired you to start Reflection Design?
Well, in 2013, I was laid off. And instead of feeling defeated, I looked at it as an opportunity to create something new, to forge my own path. But I wasn't exactly sure how to do that at the time. So I decided to just sit still
Hmm.
and think about the happiest moments in my life to that point. And a trip that I had taken to Ghana a few years prior kept coming up. It kept resonating. I was there for 2 months
Oh,
and I was working as a Fulbright scholar. So I was working in higher education, but I was also a textile buyer for a museum client that
okay.
I had at the time. And so I would spend my mornings in the college settings, and then in the afternoons, evenings, weekends, I would be in the marketplaces and rural villages, seeing how fabrics are woven and wood pieces are carved. And that experience was so transformative for me, and it kept coming up. Like this is one of the happiest moments in your life.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I still wasn't sure. Like, okay, that's great, but what do I
Right.
do with that? So one day I was in the store shopping for bedding. And you know how you're in the store, you're seeing things and you're like, this is
Yes.
nice, this is
Uh-huh.
nice. But it's not really doing anything. It doesn't
Right.
evoke
Right.
joy. It doesn't evoke, curiosity or connection. And that
Yes.
was the light bulb moment. At that time, there was a void for authentic home decor that's handmade and that's focused on African art and objects. And so I said, you know what? There's a reason why that's one of the happiest moments. And I see that there's a void. So I'm going to solve that problem. I'm gonna bridge the two. And Reflektion Design was born.
Ah, beautiful. I love that story. And you're right. I know we've all experienced those times when we go out and we want to purchase something. We're in a buying mood, but we don't see anything that inspires us. It's like, that's not really worth that. What's that going to fit with? And we're looking for something to inspire us, to really resonate. So love it that you decided to fill that void for us. So you've been in business almost 10 years. That's wonderful because making it to 5 years is a big deal for any business. And right now, Black women owned business are the largest and the fastest growing sector of new businesses. So to still be in the game, I know we're going to get a lot of good information from you.
Happy to share.
Uh-huh. So one thing I want to ask is when you first started your business, how did you fund your entrepreneur process? Was it Was it personal funds? Was it bank loans? Was it grants? Was it family and friends? What route did you take in funding your business?
So, as I mentioned, I was laid off. So, I had unemployment benefits coming in.
Got you.
And I said, I'm going to bootstrap this business with my unemployment benefits and the money that I had in savings. I didn't take out any loans. I haven't taken out any loans at
Wow.
all, period, over the 10 years. And that's just my preference. That doesn't mean
Right.
that other
Right.
business owners shouldn't do that.
Mhm.
But just at this point in my business, that wasn't the route I wanted to go. So I used my unemployment benefits and savings, and I hit the ground
Okay.
running. I started with pillows.
Okay.
One, because they're easy to incorporate into your home. It doesn't require a whole lot of thought and budgeting and consideration. And the patterns, African patterns, are just beautiful. So I started with a product that I know wouldn't cost me a lot,
Right.
instead of let me go find a gorgeous, wood mass
Right.
that
Right.
would cost me a lot to not only have the artisan make it, but have it shipped here to the US. I
Yes.
said, let me start with something light and simple and beautiful and impactful. So, and affordable. So I started with pillows. But of course, unemployment benefits don't last forever.
Right.
So at some point, I was like, okay, this is good, but I need some steady income. So I ended up going back to work.
Okay.
I was working full time, and believe it or not, when at probably about 6 to 8 months into working this new job, I was laid off again.
Oh, wow.
True story. And
Wow.
I was so perplexed, like,
Right.
really? Oh, so I said, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep working my business. So I would do different pop-up events, created my website, was
Uh-huh.
doing the things that you're supposed to do in the beginning. Um, and then another year or so went past, and I was like, okay, it's getting a little lean again. Let me go find a job. And so I
Uh-huh.
did. I found another job. And when I tell you the same thing happened again,
Wow.
probably about 6 months in, four to
Uh-huh.
6 months, even less time, the third time, they came to me and said, we're moving our operations from California to Seattle. We're closing this office down.
Wow.
And I was thinking, you knew that when you hired me.
Right.
Why you even bring me on?
Right.
You don't just wake up and say, we're going to move our entire
No.
company to another state. You've been
No.
thinking and planning, but that's not the point of the story. Um, so after the third layoff,
Right.
I said, you know what, God, you are telling me stop playing. You keep going to get these jobs, I'm going to keep removing them from your path.
Right.
I said, all right, I'm gonna listen. All right, this is it. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna, really put forth the effort and do it. And I haven't looked back since. That was probably around 2018, 2019-ish.
Okay.
And haven't worked full time since.
Oh, beautiful. Wow. Yes. I love the way those messages kept coming to you.
Right? It's like back to back to back. And so it's
Right.
it's it's almost like when you know you can go get a job, you have that cushion to fall back on. So you
Right.
kind of embrace the fear and
Yes.
go get a job. Like
Right.
instead of saying, I'm going to embrace the fear and work my business,
Right.
instead, I'm just going to go get a job. But
Uh-huh.
but instead, God said, no, you stop,
Right.
work on your business.
Right. He said, you can go get a job, but I'm not gonna let anybody hire you that's gonna keep you for a long period of time. So,
Yeah,
you know,
basically.
beautiful. So you funded your business with your own funds. You got it off the ground. You started out with pillows. How did you market your business when you first started?
So I created an Etsy site in the beginning, but I
Okay.
also created my own website.
Okay.
I think that's important because you own that real estate. Your website is your own. You don't have any control over Etsy. You for the most part, can't even capture those email addresses. Those customers are Etsy's customers, not necessarily your customers. Even if they're purchasing from you, you really don't have a way to engage with those customers in a real way. So it's important to create your own land, your own real estate, and that's your website. So I started with that, with those two sites. And I also did a lot of pop-ups locally. Any, holiday markets, summer events, different organizations that were looking for vendors, looking for businesses to come and showcase their products. I did a lot of that. And Instagram was also really instrumental for me in the beginning, because just showing up and being genuine and engaging with people, they got to see the products that I offered, which helped drive traffic to the website. I was also discovered by a lot of Black interior designers who purchased products for their clients' homes. And a lot of those homes ended up getting featured in magazines. And so when those homes were featured, they also credited me, like pillows from Reflektion Design or wall fans from Reflektion Design, which then in turn put me on the radar of those publications. So then they started to reach out to me and say, hey, we're doing a holiday gift guide. We'd love to include Reflektion Design, or we're doing a write-up about spring home ideas and we want to feature your baskets. And so it's kind of a snowball effect that started from Instagram, but also partnering with Black interior designers. So I also, I always love to give them props, because they were a driving force in my marketing, and they still are to this day.
Got you. I love that. That's great information. Building partnerships and getting recognized that way, along with the way that you directly marketed your business to your customers, your target market, through Instagram. Wonderful. So looking at your business from when you first started to where you are today, what has changed in the way you do business? Is your setup, is it still strictly you doing everything? Do you outsource some of your activities? Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's changed a bit over time. I like to bring on contractors for specific projects. When we redid the website, I brought on a contractor to help with a lot of the back end stuff, the coding, and things that are not in my wheelhouse. It's not my ministry. So so I like to bring people on for projects. I'm also fortunate to have a life partner who is a graphic designer, and so he's been really instrumental in helping with making sure the website is on point, logos, product packaging, recording video for our YouTube channel and editing that video. And so that's been a huge blessing as well. Just surrounding yourself with people who can support you and based on what their skill sets are. So, but for the most part, on a day-to-day, it's just me. And that's been working so far. There will come a time where I will have to bring on some people. I see it coming. But I want to be smart about it, because I don't want to be that business that hire somebody and then 6 months later say, I gotta let you go. So I don't, so how
been there, done that. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be that business. So I'd rather take my time and think about it instead of just bringing on people for the sake of bringing them on. Because it looks cute and it looks like you're super successful, but in reality, you can't afford those people.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or
that's somebody's livelihood,
but your business isn't set up yet for it.
Got it.
Which is different. So that's two things that I work on, making sure that the funds are there and that the business is set up correctly so that they can thrive once I bring them on.
Got it. So what would you say has been your greatest challenge since your business got started to where you are today? And what did you learn from that challenge?
There's several.
Okay. Tell us.
Okay, so first I'll say things consumer behaviors and buying choices, they're very cyclical. It can be a roller coaster at times. You have moments where sales are up and then sales are down, and especially now where there's a lot of different things going on in the world. We recently came out of COVID, so people were, spending but not spending, or being very, specific and intentional about their spending. So those types of things that are out of your control can have an effect on your business. And it did on mine, amongst many other businesses. Interestingly, during COVID, as you know, a lot of people were home. So that actually, I saw a spike in sales because people were home and they were decorating. There was also an influx of press from, media channels wanting to highlight Black-owned businesses. So that also brought in an influx of sales. But I've seen a lot of that cooling down now as people are still, uncomfortable with spending a lot of money, or they're having to choose where to spend it. And so that's from the beginning, that's always been a bit of a challenge, like weathering those hills and valleys. Setting yourself up for multiple revenue streams, so you're not just reliant on your website sales, you're not just reliant on doing pop-up shops. You have multiple things happening. And the second challenge, I would say, is growing in areas that you think you want to grow into, but you really don't.
Oh, I love that.
Growing in areas that you think you're supposed to grow in because you see everyone else doing it, or you think it looks cool, or you think it looks good on paper. Like, I should go do this. I should go, I want to be in Target, or I want to, do all the things. Without really knowing that, do you really want that? Do you know what that means? Do you know what that takes? I've bumped my head a couple times in that arena. And I've learned to turn that pain into policy. Which is a quote from one of the Black interior designers that I saw in a panel discussion. And when she said that, I was like, church is in session.
I love that. Turning that pain into policy.
And as business owners, we've all had moments where things didn't go our way, or things didn't sell like we wanted to, or we had a difficult customer if we're in a service-based business, or we put in a bunch of work and didn't get that much in return. And oftentimes we feel defeated and frustrated and we want to give up. But I've learned to turn that pain into policy. What are the policies that I can put into place ahead of time to prevent this from happening again? What is the information and the knowledge that I need to gain, so that when I'm at the table with this growth opportunity and these individuals presenting it, I know what questions to ask. I know what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, and be okay with saying, no, I'm not willing to do that, but I can do this. So I would say those are probably two areas that I've learned a lot from. They've been a challenge, but I feel like I'm better because of it as a business owner.
Got it. I love that. Turning pain into policy, because inevitably we're going to run into those things that don't quite work out the way we think they're going to work out, right? And as you say, we put a lot into it, but we don't get the return from it. And so where do we go when we feel like quitting?
Inward.
Got it. I love that. Very good. So, and since you started your business, because a lot of times we start businesses and we have one concept of how we want this business to look, who our target market is going to be, how we're going to market this business and our service or product. And then somewhere along the way, we learn, we grow, the economy changes, and we have to pivot. So have you had in your journey, your entrepreneur journey, moments of pivoting, or any large changes you made in your business to adjust and be flexible and keep it going? And what were those?
I would say there are two moments. One was during COVID. I had a lot of friends and family, sharing with me that they were spending more time at home with their children. As you know, schools were closed and, everything was shut
Yes.
down. And so they were saying they wanted some really interesting and fun activities to do with their children. And I had just made I had covered some light switch covers with African fabric.
Okay.
And I mentioned that to one of my friends, like, I just did I just covered, how, because light switches are usually that plastic white or tan or,
Right.
brown.
Right.
And so I had used some Mod Podge and covered it with African fabrics, and it turned out really nice. It just adds a pop of color, just a little pop, because it's just a light
Right.
switch cover. And the friend was like, how did you do that? Send me the instructions. What did you do? I think that could be really fun for me and my daughter. She loves working with fabric. She's learning to sew, you know.
Ah. Uh-huh.
And so I was like, okay. So I put together, I think it was 5 or 6 different projects, all related to the home. So light switch covers, ways to line your drawers, your cabinet drawers with fabrics, and a couple other projects using African fabrics. And then I started offering them by the pound. So I would offer African fabric scraps, various
Ah.
sizes, remnants for small projects by the pound. And they flew like hotcakes. It
Wow.
was my best seller that year, actually
Wow.
for the past 2 years. It was just funny because I'm thinking, wall art and, all the big things,
Right. The
but it
big
ends
things,
up being
right.
fabric
Right.
scraps at that.
Right. Exactly.
That ends up becoming my
But
best seller.
it sounds like just hearing you talk about it sounds like fun. I'm looking around the house and go, that would be fun, especially to do with a child, because then they get to see something they created all the time,
Exactly.
and to line your drawers with it. I can imagine opening the drawer and just seeing it and being like, wow, it's a pop. So yeah, it sounds like fun. So I can see why that was successful. But
Yeah,
continue.
it's so interesting. And so that was the first pivot. And then the second, I started realizing that businesses were reaching out to me about placing bulk orders or wholesale orders.
Okay.
Um, and so that's become a new pivot that I'm transitioning into, is working more on the wholesale, bulk orders, corporate gifting. So if people want to order gifts for their clients or their employees, um, I'm now working on that so that people can order those special gifts, unique gifts,
Right.
um, for their employees, or their organizations or sororities, or just different spaces where people are looking for unique gifts and bulk orders. That's a new pivot that I'm working on as well.
Okay. So when you look at your reflection design, your company, and you think about who would you say is your primary target market?
I call her Rochelle,
Okay.
and
I love that she has a
Rochelle,
name.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
of course, she has
Personalized.
to. She has
Uh-huh.
to.
Yes.
Any business, when you're thinking about your target customer, they call them a lot of different names: your customer avatar, your ideal customer. It's wise to create that person, and
Ah,
not just out of thin air. You kind of look at what's happening in your business. What if you're doing in-person events? What are the types of people that typically come to your table? And when they come to your table, ask them questions. Is this for you, or is this a gift? Are you using this because you love to entertain at home, or is it you just want to put some new things up on the wall? And so by doing those types of things, you start to learn about who your customer is. And so Rochelle is my ideal customer.
okay.
She is she's about 42,
Mm-hmm.
and she loves to entertain. She loves to have her
Mm-hmm.
friends over. She is an attorney, and she works with nonprofit organizations.
Mm.
She's a child of hip hop, so she loves hip hop music, but she was raised in a home where jazz was played a lot by her parents.
Ah,
So she has that mix, old
got
school, new
you.
school.
Right.
And so um, I tend to when I do my marketing, I tend to talk to Rochelle in terms of how I craft emails and how I do my social media, thinking about who that customer is. She loves to buy gifts, thoughtful gifts, intentional gifts. She loves where she's from, and she loves that connection to Africa and African culture. And
Got it.
so, any chance she can get to represent that and share that with others, she does. And so from that, I'm able to say, okay, let's look at items that could be great for gifts. Let's look at items that could
Right.
be great for entertaining, based on the data that I've received over the years about who is primarily purchasing the products. Now,
Got it.
on a larger scale, it's a variety of people, different
Right.
walks
Right.
of life,
Mm-hmm.
males, female, different ethnicities.
Right.
But at the core of who the main shopper is, it's Rochelle.
Got you. I love that. I love that you identify that. I love that you personalize, you personified who your main clientele is, but you also recognize there are outliers. I think that's a great exercise for any business owner to realize, because you can't truly target anything to everybody, right?
Right.
You have to settle on who is my main, what's the largest portion of my customer base, and that's who I got to target towards. Everyone else would see it and like it anyway, without being directly targeted, but you have to have a focus. So I love how you created your avatar, your client, your focus, and that's who you write your emails to. That's who you, when you're looking for items, that's who you're thinking of. That's a great gem to help our listeners when they're thinking about, who am I doing this for? Even though I might have 5 or 6 different markets that really purchase from me. Well, who is my main market? And that can help me to focus and target in on that and grow that even more, as opposed to
Yes.
being spread out trying to attract every different type of person as possible.
I like to say be an inch wide and a mile deep.
Mm,
You don't have to offer all the things.
right.
Just be an inch wide, be focused,
Mm,
but go deep within what you're offering. And oftentimes it's hard because as an entrepreneur, as a creative, you see all the things. I want to offer this. I
yes.
want to offer this.
Yes.
And the same
Yes.
thing with service businesses. I want to be available for this. I want to offer this
Right.
program and this program. But what is the main product or service that you want to be known for? What is the main product or service that you have the most success with? And how can you drill down even further with those one or two offerings?
Right.
And you'll start to see not only more success, but you'll also be less, overwhelmed
Yeah, right.
from offering so many different things.
Exactly. I think that's an excellent point, because sometimes as new entrepreneurs, we think that the more we offer, there's a greater possibility for money to come in. If I do this too, I can get paid for this too. But we don't realize we're spreading our talent and our quality and our energy thin, you know. So we're only going to get little trickles from any place. Whereas if, like you said, I like what you said, an inch wide and miles deep,
Yeah.
if we concentrate that focus, we can get so good at doing these 1 or 2 things, that we're like an expert, right? We don't need all the other stuff that's bright and glittery out there, that attract our senses. To your point, because we're creatives, because so a new idea is always attractive. Oh wow. But staying focused to build a business, you have to have a lane and you have to be focused. So I love that. So when you started your entrepreneur journey, did you have a model in your family? Were there other entrepreneurs to pull from? Did you have a mentor? Or was this something you started and you learned as you went along?
I kind of learned as I went along. I've always had an interest in business, but also in the arts. There are a lot of artists in my family. My uncle is a painter and a sculptor. My aunt is a very skilled seamstress. She makes wedding
Oh,
dresses and prom gowns. And so I
uh-huh,
would always see them. My mother sews as well. Grandparents
uh-huh.
play instruments. So
Oh,
the
wow.
arts were always around.
It's just in your veins.
Yeah, the arts were always around. But interestingly, I was always drawn to business. So I,
Oh,
went to my mother taught me how to sew, and we used to ironically sew pillows when
oh,
I was in junior high. In high school, sewed pillows and sold them at craft fairs at my high school. Now, mind
oh,
you, I reflection design was nowhere near on my radar. I was a freshman in
uh-huh,
high school. But when
right.
I look back at that experience, it's like, wait a minute, I I've already gone through this exercise as a child. Um, and so it makes sense. So it's funny about it is, I'm sure all of us could kind of think back over our lives, even if it's just a brief moment, something we were doing that later helped inform what we're doing now. And we may not even
Yes.
realize it
Right.
because it was so long ago.
Right.
And so it was always, the arts, and I'm originally from Philadelphia, which is a very culturally rich city, lots of murals and lots of art museums and galleries. So the arts were always around me,
Mhm.
but I always had an interest in business. So went to undergrad and grad school. Both degrees are in marketing, but I hung around artists and
Uh-huh.
dancers and musicians. Those are my friends. I was the only
Yeah.
one like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta go to this accounting class. Whereas they're like, well, I'm about to paint this whole wall and I'm about to go dance and I'm about to, but they would always come to me and say, I need help getting my work out there. How can I get my art pieces? Or I'm a DJ and I want to get more bookings. You
Uh-huh.
know, you're the business major. How do I do that? And so I ended up helping them, quite a few of them, get that type of exposure and that access. So that there's always been an art and business
Got it.
component to my life.
Got it.
And I think that not only helped informed the types of jobs that I took over the years, but also how my business was going to function in terms of still working with artists. I'm working, like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm still working with artists in
Right.
Africa, getting their work out uh, to the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love how that was always a part of your living, and all the spaces you went into, that was part of your living. Wonderful.
And it's funny because it wasn't until I stepped out of that I started getting laid off. See,
See.
you see what I'm saying? It wasn't,
Steering you in the right direction.
when we go against the flow,
Yes.
that's when we run into problems. I decided I wanted to, because I have, like I mentioned, I have an MBA in marketing. And so I was like, well, I have this business degree. Let me go, you know, try the corporate world, try some different types of environments. Um, and that's when the trouble started. When I stepped
Mm,
out of the world that I innately, was drawn to.
right.
And we've all had those moments. We're like, well, let me go
Yes.
try this. Let me go do that. And it doesn't work out. I'm like, because that's not where you're supposed to be.
Right. Right. Yes.
And
We can
once
say
you
we can
get, yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and once we get back into our flow, then things start to turn upward. It starts to be an upward turn, a positive, result comes from that, which is why when I was laid off initially, I said, well, let me just sit still and think about those happy moments, because the happiest moments are that's the flow. That's the
Yes.
where you're supposed to be. That's the, that energy that will help drive the next move you make in your life, not out of a place of fear, not out of a place of lack and limitation, but out of a place of excitement and joy, and happiness.
Right.
Because when things get tough, as they do, and being a business
Mm,
owner,
mm.
you you know what you're standing on. You know the foundation you're standing on. You know why you're in this business, and you know what it means to
Yes.
you, which will
Yes.
help guide you through those storms.
Right. Definitely need that. I love a couple of things you said resonate. One was those happiest moments are representative of when you're in the flow. And they're there to inform you, to let you know that this is the space for you. This is where you come alive, you know. And too
Yes.
often we are taught to silence that communication, right?
Yes.
And to go and do what someone else thinks is best for you, or what they think is more profitable for you, or what you should be doing. And, you know, you could be doing that, but what speaks to us is like totally different, right? And we're willing to hush up what speaks to us from
Yes.
the inside. I'm like, how powerful, how much more powerful could our spirits be than to speak to us from the inside, and we still want to shut it down and go do something else and wonder why we're miserable. And you know, so I love that you spoke to that, listen to that, remember that feeling. I mean, I think that one point in itself is so huge, that you chose to sit in silence and think about what were my happiest moments. You know, like, where in life did I feel the happiest? And you felt legitimate in allowing that to inform what your next step was going to be. Because we
Because I
don't
knew no matter what, I'd be okay.
Yes.
I'd be okay.
Right. And then you also shared that when it, in this business, when it gets tough, like when we can't see what's around the corner, or we can't see the solution, or we're not making the money we want to make, if we don't have that passion and that love for it, I mean, it's very easy to quit and give up. Like, and I think that's one of the primary reasons that most businesses don't make it to year 5, because they were not started with that passion. Because that passion can't die, right? Your desire to make money doing something easily can die when it gets hard.
Yes.
You know, when it gets hard, oh, this is not easy enough. I'm not going to stick with it. But this is hard, but I know I need to do this. I know I was meant to do this. I know how alive I feel when I do this, so I'm going to keep at it. So
yes,
I love those points. Very, very important that we tap into our passion when we're creating businesses, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's going to come up, but we can stand in, to your point, where it came from, where the inspiration came from. I love that. I love that. So, in being an entrepreneur for almost 10 years, what would you say you love most about owning your own business, and what you love least about owning your own business?
What I love the most is the freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur. That was one of the main reasons why I became an entrepreneur. In addition to having a passion for African culture and art and decorative in the home, it was also freedom.
Yes.
I wanted to be able to work when I wanted to work, and you know, create a life that was on my terms. I didn't have to ask and beg for vacation days, and you know, play the office politics game,
Yes.
and you know, code switch and do all that. I didn't want to do any of that. I had done enough of it, and I was like, I'm done with that. So what I love most about it is the freedom, but also what my products do for the people's homes that they end up in. That's the real satisfaction. When I get customer emails or they send me photos of their home with products in it from Reflektion Design, that feels amazing, because I know how I feel with being surrounded by African decor. So help other people feel that same way, feel that same joy, that same connection. Like, you know what? My people are amazing. We are so talented. We are so creative. We can make anything out of anything. Soapstone, metal, wood, cotton, anything. Oils, fruits, vegetables.
Mhm.
You know, we could cook it
Right.
up. We could do
Exactly.
anything. Turn on some
Exactly.
music, and it's a
Uh-huh.
wrap. We are dancing, we're singing, we're writing songs, we're playing the drums, we're playing. My people are amazing. And when you feel that strength at home, you can carry that strength out into the world.
Yes.
And when I get that type of customer feedback, it's like, this is why I do what I do. This is
Yeah.
why I love doing what I this is why I weather the storms. This is why
Right.
I get on that roller coaster, I put on my seatbelt and I'm like, let's go.
Amen.
Because the more of us that feel that,
Yes.
especially in a world that's designed for us to not only know about how great we are, a society that's designed for us to be disconnected from our power, be disconnected from our dopeness.
Mm,
So the more of us that get plugged into it, that's amazing.
it
Because not
is.
only it changes us, but it begins to change future generations. So imagine a child growing up in a home surrounded by African decor. Woo,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
going to change their viewpoint
Exactly.
of who they are and what they can be and what
Yes.
they can, you know.
Right.
What I like least about it, I'd have to go back to the that there's the ebbs and lows, you know, the highs and lows that come with it.
Gotcha.
Because with freedom comes that responsibility.
Right.
There's no paycheck coming every 2 weeks. So you have to do what you have to do. Put the systems in place, put the processes in place, put the marketing in place. You know, you're constantly working and thinking, what can I do to improve my business to ensure that it stays open, it continues to grow, which can be tough because you're not working your 40 hours a week that you might work for somebody else. You're now working 50 hours or 60 hours, depending on how the business is set up.
Right.
So that could be tricky at times when funds are low. And even after 10 years, yes, there's still those ebbs and flows, which is why, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm working on different revenue streams. Like
Right.
pain into policy. What are the pain policy and processes? Turn that
Mm,
pain into policy and processes. What are the
mm.
processes that I need to put in place to make sure that there aren't any moments or very few moments where there's no money coming in or there's very
Right.
little money coming in. We often look outwards like, well, people aren't buying, and you know, we think there's a problem
Right.
outside of the business,
Mm.
but more than like often and more than likely the problem is inside the business.
Mm.
And it's the stuff that we as business owners we tend to not want to work on.
Right.
Okay.
That
That's just
part.
keeping it real. Like finances. Are your finances in
Yeah.
order?
Mm-hmm.
How much are you spending on product versus money that's coming in? Are your products even priced correctly? Are your services even priced correctly?
Right.
Um, do you have email automation set up? So when someone signs up for your email list, there's an automated series that goes out that tells them more about you, more about your business, why you're so great, why they're going to love what you offer,
Mm-hmm.
along with a discount code or some other free, item, or maybe it's a digital item that you may offer them for free, just to help create that communication and that community. You know, getting those processes in place oftentimes can make the difference between how much making a lot of money, not making any money, or just
Mm.
breaking even.
Got
And
it.
that's like the band-aid. It's the thing you got to just rip off and do it.
Right.
You
Right.
got to you got to crunch those numbers as much as you may
Got it.
not want to.
Right. It has to
Get,
get done.
get your spreadsheet on, or, whatever your preferred learning or organizational structure is. Get in there and really understand, what are your profit margins? What are your best sellers? Oftentimes as business owners, we don't even know what our best sellers are.
Right. Right.
Um, or we don't get enough feedback from our customers.
Mm.
Because if we ask them, they probably tell us, this is why I'm not buying from you.
Right. Yes.
Or this is why I've only bought once and haven't bought anything since.
Right. And we need to know the answer to all those.
Yes.
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 Wonderful.
So that's staying, and I'm talking to you and the listeners, but I'm also talking to myself at the same
Yes.
time, being diligent about
Hmm.
doing the things in our business that we don't necessarily want to do, or it's not as fun or glamorous, but those are actually the things that make you money.
Yeah.
And so coming to that realization has been I'd say, I don't want to say it's what I enjoy least about it, but it's that moment where you have to just, put on your big girl panties and put your
And
boss hat on and be a business owner. It's not a craft, it's not a hobby.
mm,
It's a different ball game when you
yes,
decide to be an entrepreneur.
yes,
And they don't
yes.
talk more enough about that. They just
Right,
all we see is what's on the outside.
right.
You've got all these great deals and you're
Mm-hmm.
partnering with this major corporation, you're in this big box store, you're taking these trips, you're doing all these things, but nothing is shown behind the scenes
Yes,
about what you have to do to get to that level in your business, what it takes,
exactly.
and all the
Yes,
unfun things you have to do
exactly.
to get to that level in your business.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that can, I would say, discourage a lot of new business owners because they see all the flash in the pictures, in social media, and they think, well, everybody's, successful except for me. Everybody's doing that except for why is my journey taking so long and it's so slow? Because you don't know what happened behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
of those journeys you're looking at. You're looking at after the fact, right? Which is one of the big reasons why I do this podcast is because as we go along the journey, if you're even just thinking about, I think I want to start a business or I have this idea, but I'm just unsure, from that point to someone who's been in business for decades, I think we can all learn from each other, right? And we need to know what the real truth is, not just the glitz and glamour, but yeah, you're going to have some hard days. You're going to have some cycles in your business. You're going to have to use your own money. You're going to have to prepare for all that. You're going to have days when you think, what am I doing? And then you're going to have days when you realize this is why I'm doing this. But in that mix, it's not all going to be shiny and glittery and, you know, Instagram posts of success. It's going to be a process because not only are
Mm-hmm.
you growing a business, one of the things you said was this is not a craft, it's not a hobby. I was speaking to another Black woman entrepreneur, and she said, some people their business is an expensive hobby. You don't want your business to be an expensive hobby, right? If you just want to play and do something sometimes, that's fine. That's a hobby. Then
Yes.
invest your whatever funds you wish to into your hobby and gain the release, gain the creativity, gain whatever you need to from that experience. But when you choose to build a business, it can be an expensive hobby. You have to build it in a way that is sustainable. So when we look at business and business stages, I think about, you have the right to create your business in whatever form you want to experience it is. And if you want to stay a small business forever and that's what you focus on, go ahead. If you wanted to, like you said, be in major stores and that's what you're focused on, go ahead. If you wanted to just grow and have different locations across the country and that's your focus and that's your desire, go right ahead. But know what your plan is and work your plan. So I'm looking at your business, and we know you've shared you have future goals for your business, but where do you see your business say in the next 5 years? Where does your passion in your business journey lead you in the next 5 years?
So I want to get into more storytelling. As I mentioned briefly earlier, I recently launched a series on YouTube. It's called How We Live,
Okay.
and it
Yes.
celebrates the lives and homes of people across the African diaspora.
Yes, I
So
watched some of those. So those are
nice.
very engaging. I love
Thank
those
you.
because I
Thank you.
love for anyone who loves looking in homes. Like I love looking in new homes and looking at beautiful things and seeing how someone has created their space you will want to check out this YouTube channel that she has going on because it is so delightful. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to get into doing more storytelling. I want to get into more showcasing
Yeah.
us expressing joy at home. You know, there's
Yes.
not enough depictions of people of color across the diaspora uh, expressing joy at home. It's
Yes.
usually has a negative slant, or it's, you know, people flipping over tables or throwing drinks in people's
Yes.
faces.
Yes.
But 99% of folks do not live like that. So,
No.
you know,
No.
I want to get into sharing more of the reality of um, how we actually live. And so the YouTube series does just that. There's 7 episodes up so far. We're working on creating additional episodes in the coming months. And it's part home tour, but also part interview series. It's important for me to not just show the home, but it's also important to get to know the homeowner.
Yes.
Who are they, and what are the special pieces in their home, and why? Do they have family heirlooms in their home? Did they pick up a certain piece during their travels? So we get into the life and the lifestyle of the homeowner just as much as we do the home, because there's always a lesson to be learned in just sharing and learning about one another. Um, and so in the next 5 or so years, really digging deep into doing more storytelling, really grow the channel, really grow the show, a coffee table book featuring those homes. I'm speaking it into
Yes.
existence. That's
Yes. I would
coming.
love that.
That's coming
Yes.
in 3 to 5 years, or less.
Okay. Come on.
So just doing a lot more showcasing. I feel like the first season in my business, this first phase was really about building the foundation of these are the pieces that you'll love to have in your home. I feel like in this next season of the business, it's about showcasing the people who have these pieces in their home and
Wonderful.
why, and what are their
Mm.
stories, and
Mhm.
you know, why do they have these pieces in their home. So that's the goal in the next phase of the business.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that. And being an entrepreneur, there's often we often get to a point where we are challenged to grow personally. Because owning a business is not just about finance and economics, it's also about your personal growth. And sometimes we can hit a wall and feel like, okay, what's going on? Why can't I get beyond this point, in my dream that I have for my business? And a lot of times there's some personal up leveling we need to do. There's a skill we need to gain. There's something we need to release. How have you seen this manifest in your business, if it has?
Well, one thing about being an entrepreneur is that you're also going to be a lifelong learner.
Mm.
So I embraced that early on, looking for opportunities to learn more about, you know, how to scale my business, how to get the finances in order, how to get my product photography on point, um, going to workshops and conferences that were
Mm.
either about what I do directly or even about um, complementary industries, just to help grow my network and be inspired. So
Yes.
being open to learning, being open to stepping away from your desk or your laptop and, you know, getting inspired. Go to a museum, go to the park and go for a walk, go to the movies, you know, be open to doing things that will replenish you, but also educate you,
Mm.
because it's easy to think you can run your business from your home or from your office and that's it. But you have to step away from your desk, and get out into the world.
Mm.
Um, so for me, that's been about taking classes, um, applying to be in business incubators, or
Mm.
just any opportunities where I can grow personally, professionally, and also grow my circle, with regards to like-minded individuals. That's been very important as well, because as entrepreneurs, we often feel like we're alone on an island.
Yes, yes.
And our friends, our immediate friends and family, they may not have businesses, they may not get it, they may not
Right.
understand. So you have to grow your network to include other business owners. And it's not
Mm,
about competition, it's not about
mm,
gatekeeping, it's about connecting with individuals who understand what you're going through,
mhm.
maybe even businesses who are further along and can offer insight from that perspective. So I've been very intentional about all those things, becoming educated in my business, building my circle of influence, and being open to stepping away to get inspired.
I love that. I love that. Those are a lot of great gems you shared. I love all of that. Stepping away to get inspired, because looking at workshops or events or summits that are coming to your area that you can participate in, like you said, to meet like-minded people, to just get inspired by seeing what someone else is doing, to have an idea sparked by seeing what someone else is doing, all those things. And then also just getting yourself outside, just being out in nature can be
Yes.
inspirational to you. So, on that note, when you think about all that we do as business owners and all the different hats we have to wear, I'm very intentional that we also need to take care of our mental, physical, and spiritual and emotional wellness. So, how do you balance that? How do you, one, draw the line between, because especially if you work from home, it's kind of hard to draw the line between this is my work time, this is my personal time, and what methods do you use, or practices do you use for taking care of your wellness and your self care moments?
This is something that is ongoing. And it's something that I only put thought and effort into probably in the last 2 years, which says a
Okay.
lot. So for the previous 8, it's just been, nonstop. And it begins to take its toll. Your body
Yeah.
will tell you, you need balance. You go to the doctor and they're looking at your levels, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your stress levels, and you see changes in your body, and you're like, okay, balance, it's time for some balance.
Mm.
And so the past couple of years, just become, I just kind of keep that in mind. Like if I'm not well, my business is not well.
Right. Right.
So, and I want my business to be well.
Mm.
Of course, I want myself to be well. So I need to focus on myself first,
Right.
and then everything else will fall into place. And
Mhm.
so giving myself grace, not feeling guilty or anxious if I do close my laptop at 7, because normally I would either keep working till about 9 or 10, or I would stop working, eat dinner, and then go right back to working.
Yes. Yes.
And now it's that you have to kind of give yourself that reminder, like it's okay. Step away. It's all going to be there
Yeah.
tomorrow. Is this really pressing what you're doing right now? Is it
Right.
and usually it's not.
Right.
Is just ask yourself the question. Sometimes could kind of snap you out of it.
Yes.
Is this really pressing right now?
Mm.
What would happen if I tended to this tomorrow?
Mm.
And be okay with that. And then give myself grace. Like, you know what? I'm going to stop working. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to get some snacks, and I'm going to
Uh-huh.
enjoy this weekend. Or I'm
Yes.
going to go out, I'm going to have dinner with some friends, and I'm going to enjoy those moments.
Yes.
And it has worked wonders for me.
Beautiful.
I've
Beautiful.
decided to be more intentional about my eating habits. That also
Mm-hmm.
plays a role, because your food is your fuel. So if
Yes.
you're not feeling well, or things are changing, a lot of the time it can be a direct correlation to what you're eating. So stay
Mm.
away from foods that um, aren't good for you,
Mm-hmm.
and embracing more foods that will help you feel energized naturally, not unnaturally.
Right.
Embracing foods that will fuel you and make you feel better, not feeling sluggish or tired because you're eating foods that revive you. So that's
Right.
been a big part of it too, as well as getting out and, as I said earlier, and going for walks or hikes, or I'm looking for some dance classes right now.
Ah,
So just getting it again, what is your flow?
right,
What do
right.
you love?
Yes, that's right. It doesn't have to be something hard that you gotta make yourself do. It
Yes.
can be what you love, like you said,
What do you
dancing.
love? I love
Yeah.
dancing. As a kid, I was always dancing. I took classes when I was in my 20s. I was that girl. I was in the club. I was dancing. I'm not standing on the wall. I'm on the dance floor. Uh, and so when I said, you know what, I need to do something that's going to more physically active. Well, let me do something that I already love to do.
Right.
And so, and if I can't do that, what's a fun alternative? So, I like hiking as well. So I've been doing a lot more hiking. I love trying new foods. So that's been a huge, huge thing. Just trying new foods that are
Right.
healthier, to be specific.
Right.
Trying new, healthier foods has done wonders. But most importantly, it's been just giving myself grace and asking myself those questions. Is this really pressing right now? And
Mm,
what will happen if I don't get to this until tomorrow?
mm.
To snap myself out of just being in that
Yes.
zone or thinking you're not a good business owner if you're not working yourself to the bone. And you
Yes.
don't have to.
Yes. I
You
love
don't.
that.
And I'll
I
say, I'll
love
say
that.
one more thing because I think it really relates. Oftentimes, business owners are told, figure out your why you want to be in business.
Yes.
But what we also need to ask ourselves is what kind of life do we want in this business?
Mm,
And what kind of lifestyle do we want to have and build a business around that? Build a business that will support the lifestyle that we want. And we
mm.
don't talk enough about that
Right.
because we find ourselves being a circle or a triangle, trying to fit into a square peg. And that square
Mm.
peg is the norm, what we think our business should be,
Yes. Yes.
the kind of business we think we should have based
Hmm.
on what we see on TV, or maybe our neighbor's business is set up a certain way, or what we think, versus saying, this is the kind of lifestyle I want. Let me build a business that will support that. Because as you're forcing the circle into the square peg, that's where the stress comes in. That's where
Yes.
the frustration comes in because you're trying to force a lifestyle that you really don't want, or you
Mm.
really don't, and you may not even realize it at the time, but
Right.
it doesn't work for you. For example, a lot of us are like, well, I'm supposed to be on social media. Everybody's on social media. I need to put my face out there. So you're stressing because you're
Right.
like, okay, let me record some content. Let me do these videos. But it's like, do you want a business where you're the face of your business?
Mm.
Do you even want a business like that? Do you want a lifestyle like that?
Mm.
Because a lot of people who are recognizable in public are probably like, oh,
Right.
but one day I would like to just go out in public and not be recognized.
Right.
Do you even want that? So you're forcing yourself, and you wonder why
Right.
you're frustrated in your business. You wonder why you're stressed out. A lot of people think, well, um, like we were talking about earlier, I want to be in a big box retailer because that's
Uh-huh.
where all the money is, and that's where everybody seems to be doing. If they
Right.
have a product business,
Hmm.
that's the goal. But it's like, do you
Hmm.
even want that? Do you even
Right.
know what's required of you to do
Mm.
that? Do you even know how retail works at that level? How much
Mm.
money is required up front
Mm.
in order to make that a reality? Do you have the processes in place for when Target comes to you and says, we want, I don't know, 5,000
Right.
books or 5,000 pillows?
Hmm.
Where are you going to get those 5,000 pillows?
Right.
You know where you can
Right.
get 100 pillows or
Right.
even 50 pillows. Well,
Right.
if when they say 5,000, who's going to make it? Where? What's the
Mm-hmm.
turnaround? What's the shipping? But we jump into these things because we think
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we find ourselves with this friction. So a lot of the friction is we're running businesses that don't really fit the lifestyle that we want. Do
Hmm.
you want to live in another country certain months out of the year?
Hmm.
Okay, if you do, how do I set up a business that will allow me to live in the United States 10 months out of the year and then
Mm-hmm.
live in Ghana 2 months out of the year
Yes.
or live in London 3 months out of the year?
Yes.
And when you work from that frame point, then you're
Mm.
like, I need to expand my ideas. I need to expand my strategy because the kind of lifestyle I want
Right.
is going to require me to have some things in place that will allow me to live elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
because that's the lifestyle I want. And I'm going to create a
Yes.
business to support the lifestyle I want.
That's right.
Does again, which is one of the reasons why I'm transitioning into more wholesale and bulk orders because again, when you start a business, you think I have to sell these things one at a time.
Right.
I
Right.
have to go get all customers and I have to get these orders. Or I'm a coach, I got to get one coaching client at a time. I got to
Right.
find these and even just when you hear that out loud, it sounds like an uphill
It does
battle.
struggle. Yes. Yes.
Um, and that's not to say that there's anything wrong with wanting to get one order at a time or one client at a time. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have started my business in the reverse. I would have started as a wholesale, corporate gifting, large order business first.
Hmm.
Because if someone's ordering in bulk, you can imagine that order is going to be much more profitable.
Right.
You know, someone orders 20 coffee mugs, that's going to inject a lot more cash into your business.
Right.
So that you can take that money and do other things and grow in other areas versus the person that buys one mug.
Right.
You got to go chase somebody else down to buy
Exactly.
one mug, at a time. So for me, it's that switch, it's shifting my mentality as to what kind of lifestyle do I want. And so I encourage all the listeners to give that some thought because a lot of the stress, a lot of the wondering why things aren't working out is because you're running a business that either should be just a hobby or you're
Hmm.
running a business that is not supportive of the lifestyle you want because you're mad. Like, man, I want to go on vacation, but I can't because I have to do all these things in my business.
Right.
Or I want to
Right.
go to my son's graduation, but I can't because I got to do, or no
Right.
money's coming in. Why? Maybe because some things need to shift.
Hmm.
Thinking about the lifestyle that we want. So not only why do we want to be in business, but what kind of lifestyle we want.
Got
And then
it.
create a business that will support the why and the what.
Hmm. The
Because
why
again,
and
it'll
the
be
what.
less friction.
Yes.
And think about what you want, not what looks good or what you see everybody else doing or what you think is going to be successful.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. I love the what, the why, and the what. And that, I mean, the concept you bring up is that we have the right to design what we want our life to look like, what we want our life as an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur is what you do, it's not who you are, right? So you still own your life. You
Yes.
can't let that own your life. You still own your life, and you have the right to design this to fit into the life you want to own, the way you want to own your life, the way you want to move. Like you said, if you want to live in a different country a couple of months of the year, you have the right to design your business to facilitate that, right? As opposed to being just a point of stress and overwork and because then that's not any better than you being on someone else's job and them telling you, you got to come in Monday through Friday, these hours, these are your vacation days, and you can't go beyond that, right? that freedom is also in designing what you want. So I love that you shared that, and I hope that I hope that healed a lot of people who are struggling with trying to fit their who they truly are into this peg, where they really don't fit, as opposed to creating something that works with who they really are, right? Because you're so special that there's no one else like you in this
Yes.
universe. It's only one you. So why are you trying to change the one you to copy something else out there when that's not how you were made? Be your original. You have the license, you have the right to be your original. So I love that you shared that, and I hope, I think that's going to heal some people. They're going to take that to heart and realize that's why I've been struggling. That's why this is not fun anymore. That's
Yes.
why I've been thinking about, quitting and going back to someone else's job because of the way I'm doing this. The people I'm trying to copy as opposed to being my own self. Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a master class right there. I don't think you know it, but it was. That was a master class. I love that. I was just taking it all in. I was like, yeah. So I know my listeners are going to take that in, and that's going to change some people's journey in their business right now, and they're struggling. So before we close out, I do want to ask, do you have anything upcoming that we should be aware of, or anywhere that we can meet you and um, be a part of what you have going on? If it's something new you have coming out on the internet or in person, what can you share with us?
I first and foremost would encourage everyone to check out the website, reflectiondesign.com. Again, that's reflection with a K. From there, you can sign up for my email newsletter. And that's where I share all the information about events that I'm
Wonderful.
going to be selling at in person. And I also encourage everyone to check out my YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you'll be the first to know about new episodes, new content. And because that's where the community is, and that's where we share information and ideas. So you'll be in the know. And you're welcome to
Okay.
follow me on Instagram. I'm on all the things as Reflection Design. So if that's your preferred medium, you can follow along on Instagram. And that's the best way to be plugged in. I'd
Okay.
also say there's some new items coming for the holiday season that I'm
Okay.
very excited about.
Oh,
Um, so I would love for everyone to join my newsletter so you can know about those new pieces that are coming
yes.
from Kenya. They're en route as we speak, Kenya and Ghana.
Oh,
And so right now I'm having fun, and
wonderful.
I can't wait to share those new pieces with everyone. So, feel free to connect.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I love that your pieces are authentic. Now, do you have national and international customers?
I do. Interestingly, I have a pretty large customer base in Canada,
Okay.
which is always pretty interesting. Every now and then I'll get some orders from Europe, but the large majority are here in the US.
Okay. Wonderful. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. So as we close out from this delightful conversation, I could just talk to you forever because you have such great information to share with us. But as we close out, I want to ask a couple of just fun personal questions for our listeners to get to know some little personal tidbits about you. And the first one is going to be, what's your favorite season of the year and why?
Mm. I'm gonna have to say fall.
Ah,
Um, I love the colors.
uh-huh.
I was born in the fall.
Oh, well, there you have it.
um, and I just love the colors. I love the when the leaves change, and
Yes,
the colors that come forth from that, the burnt oranges, the greens, the browns. I feel like it's such a beautiful time of year.
got you. So you love the way that nature dresses up and releases in the fall.
Yes.
Beautiful. So, what was your favorite childhood game?
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite childhood game. It's hard to pick one on that. It's hard to pick
You can
one.
say more than one. You can say more than one.
I I loved playing Old Maid. Remember that card game?
Yes, yes.
I love playing Old Maid, um, Uno,
Yes.
Trivia Pursuit. I mean, I love card
Ah,
games and board games.
okay.
But I also loved Double Dutch, jumping rope
Oh,
outside.
yes.
Yeah, it's hard. And of course, dancing, that's
Uh-huh.
not really a game, but it's something I did a lot as a kid. And so, yeah, those would be my favorites.
Okay, nice, nice. Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Hmm. These questions are tough, girl. You making me think, like, think
Uh-huh.
back. Childhood crush. Honestly, to be honest, I didn't really have one.
Okay,
If I mean, I know that sounds
that's good.
like,
No,
everybody had a
that's
crush on
fine.
somebody, but nobody comes to mind. I mean, I
Okay,
had favorite groups like New
right,
Edition, What's My
right,
Jam, and so I was always, listening to their music and into them. But that's like a
right,
group. It wasn't like one of
right.
them that I was like, oh, he's
Gotcha.
my crush. He's so cute.
Right.
It was more like, oh, I love their music.
Uh-huh.
Being brothers, the dancing and the singing.
Right.
Um,
Okay, that's good. You
yeah.
don't have to have had one. So, New Edition was the group, your favorite childhood group, you would say. What is your favorite food or meal?
Oh, that one's easy. My favorite food is Ethiopian food.
Ah.
I could eat it every single day of my life if I could. I would. It's so good. If you've never had it, listeners, go find the nearest restaurant in your community.
Hmm.
Um, you'll be glad you did.
Yes, yes. Look that up, listeners. I know there's this app I use that was created by this another Black woman entrepreneur. It's called the ABC Travel Green Book app. And
Mm.
what it does is wherever you are, you can find black black owned businesses wherever you are, wherever you travel in the world. You can find
Oh,
where the black
wow.
owned businesses are. Yeah. So you can find black owned restaurants, you can find barbershops, hair salons, anything, clothing stores, whatever. You can find it in their database. So you might want to check that because it's international, but it's also national. So it could be anywhere in the US,
Mm,
anywhere around the world.
that's a great
Look up
idea.
look up an Ethiopian restaurant. We have one here in Florida and Miami. That's delicious.
Mm,
So I know what you mean. It's like all those flavors. It's like your mouth just is dancing when it tastes all those different flavors. Like,
yes.
woo!
Yeah, and it tastes so fresh and
Yes,
flavorful, and you
it
eat with your
does.
hands. So
Right.
there's
It's
that
so real. It's
connection.
real food.
Yes.
Nothing tastes artificial. It tastes real food. Like they just picked it and cooked it. That's how
Hmm.
it tastes. Very fresh. Okay, what was I would say either your favorite or your latest book or movie that you really liked?
Mm. I'm looking over at my
Your bookcase?
my bookcase. The latest book is called I don't want to mess this up. Hold on, let me make sure. The latest book is called Yes. Okay, so the latest book is called The Black Home,
Okay.
and I'm triple checking so I can get the author's name. Um, oh, I'm sorry. See, that's why you gotta check. The book is called Iconic Home.
Okay.
And it is a coffee table book that
Okay.
is interiors, advice, and stories from 50 amazing Black designers.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Iconic
Iconic
home.
homes. Yes. I'm gonna
Yes,
have to look that up.
yes,
That sounds
iconic home.
beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is absolutely
Ah,
beautiful. And it's full of images
yes.
of the homes that 50 different Black interior designers did. And
Oh,
so you get to
wow.
see a picture of them and then a picture of some of their projects and their homes.
Uh-huh.
It is stunning. It is inspiring.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh, I
authored
can't
by a
wait to
Black
see that.
woman. Yeah.
Yes, I can't wait to see that. It's a feast for the eyes and the spirit. So
Yes.
I can't wait to see that. Okay, well, thank you so much. I want to say again that we appreciate you spending your time with us today, being willing to share so many gems and details about your journey as an entrepreneur and advice for other budding entrepreneurs, women of color who are branching out to start their business journey. I love that you were able to tell us about your beautiful business, Reflection Design, how authentic all your items are and inspiring they are. I want our listeners to definitely go on and visit that website, go on that YouTube channel, and enjoy all the great creativity you have put out there for us. So thank you for that. And in closing, we love to say that we wish you great success. We hope that your most beautiful dreams come true and that you expand to the capacity to receive it all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Lynette. I've loved chatting with you.
Beautiful. So you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.